Hello guys, my name is Ali and welcome back to Tips for IELTS Listening. So today's lesson we will cover the diagram labeling in the listening test. Alright, so in the diagram labeling question type, you will be given a diagram of a structure, a process, an object, or a machine. And you would either fill in the missing blank in the diagram or complete the notes within the diagram. Right, some of the common examples that you might encounter when you do your practice of the diagram labeling will be a solar heating system, an undersea turbine, or even a soil layer diagram. Okay. All right. So now when you look here, it will be an example, a common example of a diagram labeling. All right. So in this one, you can see it's like a picture of a diagram, a picture that represents a process. Right, so this one talks about a float project of the operational cycle. All right, so you're going to take a look to overview like the whole content or information and actually understand what the diagram talks about. Okay, so first thing first, read the instructions. Always read the instruction as well as the questions if you're needed. All right. Okay, so the instructions, so you can see like you write no more than 3 words and a number. Okay, so now this one you already know what kind of limitation that you are going to write down. So always remember this step for me for whenever you do the listening test. Always read the instructions carefully. All right, and that's why we'll jump to the next step is to read and understand the titles or the topic of the diagram. So what does the topic or the title talk about? So this one talks about flow project, like the operational cycle of something. All right, so reading the title is going to give you the overall meaning, the overall understanding, the general understanding of the diagram, so that you can know what kind of information that you're going to identify in the listening audio, so that you don't have to miss out or being too overwhelmed when the audio turns on. All right, the next part is to predict the answer. It's like any kind of completion type of question. You're going to predict what kind of answer, what kind of word that you're going to fill in. So the word could be a noun, an adjective, or an adverb. And then the information, it could be a number, a percentage, or any measurement with a unit or currency. Right, next step, synonym and paraphrasing, which is always important, right? So you're going to take an overall look at the diagram and then scan and identify the keywords for each answer. And then you're going to find a synonym, list out all of the possible synonyms to replace for the words that you already found in each answer. For example, the words you might encounter a lot like study. So in study here, it could have a different meaning like research or examine. All right, so try to list out all of the vocabulary that you know that fit the meaning of the words on the paper. All right, the next part I call the introduction. It is also as important as the one when you read the titles or the topic. So before they're giving you the detailed information for the answers, they're going to give you an overall introduction about the diagram or the conversation that you're going to hear. So for example, like you're about to listen to a conversation or an introduction of a climate change project or campaign. So by this one, they're giving you the overall understanding. You're going to get and understand the context of the diagram that you are going to fill in and answer the questions. All right, next one is the answer order. So keep in mind that these question types is going to follow the questions and the answers based on the listening audio. So if you miss out, another tip, like another reminder for the tip, if you ever miss out any kind of question or answer, so leave it there and then follow with the listening audio. Don't jump back, otherwise you're going to miss the whole conversation. All right, and lastly is to watch out for the distractors. Always. Okay, so some of the words like though, but, however, on the other hand, like on the contrary, or there could be some phrases that is going to change the idea of the speaker. So pay attention carefully and understand clearly of the listening audio. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a listening audio for you to test your listening ability for this kind of question. All right, so we will use the previous example of the diagram, a float project. All right, so now look at here and I'm going to turn on the audio and you will start listening.
But let's move on to how floats work. The operational cycle goes like this. Each of the floats is dropped in the ocean from a boat at a set point and activated from a satellite. Then the float immediately sinks about 2,000 meters. That's 2 whole kilometers down in the water. It stays at this depth for about 10 days and is carried around by the currents which operate in the ocean at this level. During this time, it's possible for it to cover quite large distances, but the average is 50 kilometers.
So, what is it actually recording?
Well, at this stage, nothing. But as it rises to the surface, it collects all sorts of data. Most importantly, variations in salinity, that's salt levels, and the changes in temperature, a bit like underwater weather balloons. Then, when it gets back to the surface, all the data it's collected is beamed up to the satellite. After about 5 hours on the surface, the float automatically sinks, beginning the whole process again.
Alright, so have you got all of your answers? Here, I'm going to review the answer keys. Alright, first, for the first answer, I'm going to say is activated. Alright, how is it activated? I'm going to give like a transcript over here for you to look. So the sentence that identifying this answer is this. So when you read this sentence, you can see that it's quite easy because the words they use is totally the same. Right? It doesn't have any synonym or paraphrase. So they use the same exact words that you see on the paper, but they just change the grammar or the sentence structure a little bit. So for this one, you have to understand and listen carefully to identify. Otherwise, it would be a pity if you miss out this question. Alright, so for the next answer, I would put it as 50 kilometers. Right, so how do you get the answer for 50 kilometers? So let's take a look at this sentence. Alright, so in this sentence, they mention about the distances and also about the number. Okay, so you're going to see they use a synonym. They don't say exactly the word in the on the paper, but they use here. First, it could cover. It could cover the distance, right? Cover the distance average for like 50 kilometers. So it also means that the distance they can go or they can travel is only at this. So it would be quite easy because in this one it only talks about the number and the units of the distance. So you can easily identify by saying the unit of the distance is kilometers or meters, right? So this is pretty much easy because they don't have any distractors. So you're going to put in 50 kilometers. Alright, last question. Float records the changes in salinity and changes in temperature. So why is it the answer? Let's identify it in this passage. First, when you read this passage, right? So it's like a conversation, and the question first is, what is it recording? Right? So you already identified that this is the sentence, the answer that you're going to look for. And then you're going to listen to another speaker answer this. Well, they say at first, this is nothing. Right? He identified that this one is nothing about a change. If you listen only halfway, then you might write down this word, right? But however, we have a distractor over here. He said the word but. At first he said nothing, but then he changed his mind by using the distractor but and explain about the changes in the following sentences, right? So it talks about the variations of salinity and then the changes in temperature. Alright, so in this sentence you can easily write down, but the important one is to identify like where the information lies in, right? So you need to listen, like have the keyword in your mind, and then when you listen to that keyword, you already identify this is the location of the information that you want to hear. Alright guys, so that's it for our lesson today. I hope you find this helpful, and I will see you in the next videos. Goodbye.